Good morning, Chair and board members. We have several members of the public wishing to provide public comment today. I will start with our first member of the public, Mr. Zaldin? Okay. I'm sorry. Can you come up? I just remind all the speakers that they have a 3-minute time limit. Thank you.
My name is Robert Ziegler. Good morning, board. I am here to address your finance department and congratulate Mr. Kelly for providing this service better than Mr. House. You have less requests for authorization of questionable items. I still find one that is number 17, a hazardous material that doesn't explain why do they need $30 million for this contract. 10 million plus two-year extensions. So this would be nice if finance department can explain that. The second thing is the requirement for emergency sidewalk sheds for $20 million. That is very questionable. What is that contains? I mean, there's no explanation for it. Now, you have in front of you the audit made a couple of years ago, which indicated that NYCHA is responsible. The auditor only certified the numbers which NYCHA finance department shoved in front of their faces without any sufficient evidence to express an opinion. Otherwise, it say you collected $75 million and spent $179 million. That is, your maintenance was doubled and services to tenants were cut in half. So that is very questionable accounting procedures. There is also, in the third page, there is also said that you sold 14,465 units worth of 600 million, almost $600 million to investors. This is to rehabilitate apartments. The report is NYCHA Public Housing Restoration Act. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. It sounds like a bad joke. And I'm referring to this to your last year sale of Chester Apartments to entity M+L. And that was, I wonder, what is their management doing better than present management in front of you, that they can fix the apartments, restore the buildings, and still make money. So I'm not sure exactly what is wrong with your management that they can't do the same thing.
You've reached your
4 years ago, I complained about elevators. Now you have article that somebody got killed in the elevators. I complained that to Mr. House, but I guess he ignored the complaint. What else? City identified.
Sir, I think your time is up. If you
Okay.
have written
Anyway,
testimony, you can submit that.
Well,
to
I
us for the
submitted
record.
what you have, the
That would
rest
be
of
great.
it is
I will share it with the board
immaterial.
members.
This is the
Yes, I
housing.
have that book.
You do?
I do,
Okay.
and I've read it. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay,
I hope you take this into consideration.
absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker will be Miss McKay from Patterson Houses.
Did we get from where Mrs. Ziegler is from?
Yes, he's from Rutgers, I believe. LaGuardia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm McKay, and I'm from the Patterson Project, and also from the state committee woman from the Bronx. Mr. Clark, we had two meetings about the ramps. And when the last meeting, Mr. Clark said we would have a meeting in January. I haven't heard from Mr. Clark, and I came this morning to know when are we going to get information about the ramp? When are they going to start in Patterson? The other day, I had to pay someone $3 to help me up the step with groceries because I had bought milk. I don't think that's right. I have to pay rent. No one knocks on the door for my rent. My rent is paid every month. So I want to know when the ramps is going to, when they're going to start the ramp. We need help at Patterson Project in the Bronx. Can someone have, Mrs. Olatoya?
Yes.
You're the one tapped on my shoulder.
And I have an
you said
answer
you
for
was
you.
we
I have an
gonna-
answer for you. So
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
going to complete your testimony, and I'm going to have a staff person respond to you.
All right.
I
Okay.
promise you.
All right. Thank
Thank you,
you
Ms.
very
McKay.
much.
Thank you.
Next member of the public is Mark Sullivan, wishing to provide comment on item number 1.
Yes, good morning, board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My particular concerns may not be under NYCHA. It has to do with the current homeless program called Links. Now, I am homeless. I have a college degree from Rochester Institute of Technology. I have 17 years experience in the commercial photography business. I have been backed by the New York State Board of Education as a commercial photographer. Within 2 weeks of receiving my equipment, I photographed our governor, our mayor, the attorney general, both of our congressmen, Congressman Rangel, both of our senators, and assorted other political persons. Following week, I was in Washington, D.C. for the Flint, Michigan hearings, photographing that. A week ago Sunday, I was at the United Nations photographing the Independent Day of Happiness. So my issue is that I've been in shelter almost 2 years. I received, when I turned 60, my housing voucher, and I'm seeking to return to Bensonhurst. This is where the issue comes that I'm bringing to your attention is, as members of bureaucracy, or whatever you want to call this, when you make policy, you have to be able to see that it's going to work, and then you also need to have enforcement mechanisms. That's Business 101. This particular program does not seem to have that. The reason I'm in front of this board is Hud Housing Section 8 seems that the federal government has more cachet or belief in by landlords than the city of New York. Personally, I really don't like to be associated with the city of New York when it comes to housing, because what I've just told you, I'm not the atypical homeless poor person, but there are many more like me. And we are being discriminated against. And this becomes a policy that the city of New York puts out to the public of saying, well, we're doing something. Perhaps you are, but it's not very effective. If you were a business, you would be having a going out of business sale. So my question to the board is, how can a hybrid program between the federal dollars that you administer and the city dollars, because in the past, the landlords are not stupid. They got stiffed with the work advantage program, and we're sitting with a bunch of tenants who are essentially being sheltered in their apartments when they should have been back in shelter because they couldn't afford housing. So what is the solution to the problem? Wouldn't it give everyone much more comfort and strength and confidence to say that the federal government is backing this, the city of New York is backing this, and the governor is backing this? Because it's just costing us too damn much money to keep people in housing and shelters. Not even talking about the social ills. Let's put it down to a dollars and cents thing. Because what it comes down to, and this is the other part of the equation, homelessness is a cottage industry in New York City. Make no mistake. Thousands and millions of dollars are made by agencies. A trainload of services are given out. Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
One last question. I believe I've raised some valid concerns. Whom would I be hearing back from about possible solutions?
We'll respond after all of the members of the public have an opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our last member is Tyrone Ball, who wishes to provide comment on numbers 1, 20, 22, 16, 17, 18.
Good morning, board. My first issue is this. I'm seeing roofing for various developments in the Bronx and Queens. When is that going to actually come to Manhattan, where my development is? We have roofing problems. We have problems going with infrastructure all over the place. My development is over 50 years old.
Which developments?
St. Nicholas. So first things first is, when are we going to actually start seeing things like plumbing and our water tanks and our roofing being addressed? The next thing is this, the section 3 that goes along with these. I'm seeing 3 hires, but are these 3 hires per development, or are these 3 hires NYCHA wide? I have young men and women who need jobs where I'm at. So we need to have these people hired. The next thing is hazardous material. We already have enough problems with the garbage that we have now. We have a too small a garbage space with increasing use of it. And we also have people from the outside using our garbage area. So we need our area expanded, and we need our compact improved. And is NYCHA actually going to work with Department of Sanitation to improve garbage pickup wherever we are? Let's see. And the ground improvement contracts. As ground improvement contracts and exterior restoration are going on, to what are we talking about the exterior restorations are going to be when we do have other infrastructure needs? We also have needs for new elevators, and our windows haven't been changed in over 35 years. And with that being said, it goes back again to Section 3 hires. Again, we have people who have OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 and who have experience, but if they're not getting hired, what is the point of them going to Section 3? So with that, I would like to see if the board have any answers, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, that concludes our public comments portion, and we may proceed with our regular calendar. I will start with asking for a motion to adopt the minutes of our regular meeting on Wednesday, February 24th.
I motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We may now proceed to the chair's report.
Great. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
To be here, sort of a little apart from our normal tradition, because I think there were sort of 2 issues that were raised in the commentary that bear response. One, the Links program, for many of you who may or may not know, is a city-funded HPD facilitated rental assistance program for homeless individuals as part of the mayor's broader effort to address the staggering challenge of homelessness in New York City. It is something that, while we are aware of, we really we work in partnership with our colleagues at HPD to try and meet this major issue. The reality for us at the Housing Authority is we've made a commitment to house to house over 2,500 homeless families in our Section 8 program and our public housing program each year. And that is something that we are actually ahead of schedule doing, and will remain. The broader issue of landlords and their willingness to accept Section 8 vouchers versus other issues is a very complicated, has an interesting policy context and history. I think one of the references was to the earlier Advantage program, which was funded years ago, but under a previous administration, which was then funding was pulled, and many landlords were left, frankly, without the expected income. Section 8, a federal program, as we know, is a guaranteed rental assistance voucher for families who are eligible for it. And landlords, and really with the work led by Kathy Pennington and her team, have come to expect that certainty that's in that program. So that is a broader sort of market issue, and certainly the broader challenge of how we meet homeless families homeless individuals, that the need to find shelter for folks is a major and ongoing issue. I would recommend that anyone that has specific questions about the LINKS program should contact HPD. That is not a program we are in charge of, or the HRA, the Department of Human Resource Administration. So other issues in terms of which we will cover today, and I know on the agenda, we will, on the calendar, there are many items around issues of our ongoing roof replacement program, which has been reported before, the mayor provided the Housing Authority $100 million for the next 3 years to replace roofs. Some of that work has begun here in Manhattan, and that is a process that will continue for the next several years. And then another important, I think, distinction, and I think it's actually happening today, if not tomorrow, which is we are hosting a conference on Section 3 and resident stewardship for residents in the next coming days. We're hoping to provide with HUD leadership a real clarification and information about Section 3 and how Section 3 works. I think it's important for everyone to recognize that Section 3 is a program that is meant to seek employment for low-income New Yorkers and/or residents of public housing. That is what the regulation stipulates, and so it is not always a development hire. And I think that's an important issue. But for folks who are interested in employment opportunities, they should reach out to our REASE program, a Resident Economic and Empowerment Sustainability Program, for more information. So with that said, just jumping very into our agenda this morning, board public safety has been a major, is a major focus of Next Generation NYCHA, literally baked into the DNA of what we're doing, into our vision. Pleased to say that work continues in as we implement the lighting, new lighting program that's been funded by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and other sources. Several of you joined me at Polo Grounds in Harlem, where that lighting project is complete. Construction is ongoing and underway at 8 more developments, and will continue to hit the remaining 15 of the mayor's action plan for neighborhood safety. We also, led by our Chief of Public Safety, Chief Gerald Nelson, announced the creation, or I should say the bringing back, of the Public Safety Advisory Committee, which is really looking to elevate the voice of not only residents, but the law enforcement community, young people, community stakeholders, and not only identifying issues around public safety, but also ongoing policy and programmatic investments that we should consider. So that is ongoing. I think the other, this is just more information about that committee. For folks who are interested, please visit our website. Applications, I think, are still being accepted. And again, this advisory committee is really what Citywide is one way in which we are continuing our commitment to engage with residents in different ways. So many of you also, we had our city council executive budget hearing on Monday. A lot of the issues that myself and/or the general manager that we would normally cover were thoroughly discussed in our 3.5-hour hearing on Monday. My testimony is online. I think it's also available for video for folks who missed that and want to hear and learn more information about the current state of our finances and other initiatives. I thought that the remaining part of my report want to focus on a major initiative that we announced 2 weeks ago, which is our move to improve customer service at our developments, the initiative known as Flexible Operations, or FlexOps, which is an expanded service day, really an acknowledgement that property management is more than an 8-hour business, something that requires a focused a level of attention. And so we are beginning in mid-May. We at 12 developments will now be providing services to our residents from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And this is a major shift for us, but also really important to know where we start from. As in my more than 130 visits around the city, talking to residents, talking to employees, talking to community stakeholders, walking down my own street, I see the challenges of too much trash, buildings that are not clean. Someone talked about trash pickups, a major challenge for us as the city's largest landlord. So we are turning the page in how we deliver services to our residents. The reason why we do this, we are setting our employees up for success. And I thought we would just spend a few minutes looking at hearing some more about this important initiative known as FlexOps, and then I'd be happy to take your questions. Over the past 2 years, we've heard the frustration in the voice of every resident we've met. Your frustrations are real and rooted in your daily lives. Frustration that you want to raise your kids in a safe, clean, and affordable place you are proud to call home, and the nagging sense that no matter what is said, NYCHA will never change. We hear you. I stand by the fact that we've made some notable progress, but it's not nearly enough. If you, our residents, don't see the change when you walk out the door, when you need a repair or to speak with management, the change simply does not exist. For years, NYCHA's budget has changed, but not our daily hours of operations. Our buildings and the demands of our work have changed, but not our hours. We can no longer tackle the issues we face today with the solutions and operations of yesterday. In 2016, we will make the change real for residents. NYCHA properties will start serving you before 8 a.m., after 4:30 p.m., and on weekends. We are changing how we do business. We are changing our hours. We are changing the quality of service we provide you. This new initiative is called Flexible Operations, or FlexOps. We will start to have multiple shifts for caretakers, maintenance workers, property management, and support staff. This means some development staff will start their workday earlier and others later, in order to extend our hours of daily operations to better serve you, our residents. This means for working families, you will be able to schedule an appointment for routine repair in the evening after work. And on Saturdays, you will be able to sit down with development staff by appointment. We will have multiple shifts to better tackle property upkeep, repairs, and other critical issues, while supporting greater flexibility for our staff to work at different times. These changes won't occur overnight, but they will happen. This change, among others, requires a fundamental shift in the mindset of what it means to serve you, our residents. Residents should know, I hear you. We are committed to taking NYCHA in a different and better direction through Next Generation NYCHA. FlexOps is just one way we can better live up to that promise. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Mr. Gonzalez?
It's Madam Chair, it's more of a statement. I believe that if you add some of the other programs along with the FlexOps, it has an even better chance of being successful. One comes to mind, and that's the one where we address multiple issues in one apartment, as many as we can, as opposed to having the resident miss 4 or 5 different days. Now, the majority of those can be done if the maintenance or the plasterer or the carpenter are not working in the same room, they can address all the issues at like a one-stop shop type deal. So coupled with that and this, the flex up, I think it definitely has a good opportunity of being successful.
Yeah, I agree, Board Member. This is Flex Ops, a very important initiative, but as you noted, it's just one of many very re-engineering of our operations on maintenance and management. But it's also a cultural change. It's really thinking about, as the chair said in her opening comments, really looking at how do we look to change the delivery of our service to the residents in a very fundamental way. And this isn't any one-shot effort. It will take a coordinated and comprehensive look at our entire operations, from organization to the delivery of those services. But flexible operations is one of the major tools we have for this cultural shift.
What is the timing for? I guess it would be phased in, I would imagine, given the size of the whole enterprise. Can you tell us a bit about that, the timing and implementation?
We're looking to go live later this spring, and then we're going to be having a 90-day period of full operations, at which point we'll spend 1 month afterward to evaluate the lessons learned, and then we're going to be taking it to full scale. So we're looking by the end of the year to be at 2017 to be at scale.
Right, throughout the system.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Good.
Other comments, questions? Okay, thank you. That is my report. I'm happy to turn it over to the general manager.
Yes. Just for the cover. Just for the cover. She did this. I would do that. Board, my report's going to be a little bit different than it has been in the last several reports. I'm going to just make a statement from the General Manager's office about an incident that you may have heard yesterday from the Department of Investigations, releasing a report of the fatal elevator accident from last December. The safety of our residents is our top priority, and so we take these findings very, very seriously. As General Manager, I've been leading a thorough top-to-bottom performance review of our elevator operations. We will continue this performance review. We will be using the Department of Investigation's conclusions and recommendations to further inform the changes we've been implementing, from our training to our policies. Additionally, we'll be looking at bringing disciplinary action against several workers based on this report. Finally, we are committed to doing everything we can to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to share with you for the General Manager's report status, the fact that will be doing a thorough operations review of the elevator. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
We may now proceed with the regular calendar. We will start with item number 1.
Good morning. I'm Karen Caldwell, Chief Financial Officer at NYCHA, and I am presenting items number 1 and 2. Item number 1 requests authorization for the approval of investment transactions that were performed by the authority's Treasury Department for the quarter ended December 31, 2015. These transactions were performed in accordance with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Office of Public and Indian Housing Notice, PIH 2002-13. The report outlines the authority's cash and investment position and provides a brief overview of operational changes in cash, changes in investments, and provides current and historical rates of return on the authority's investments as a measure of investment performance. We close out the fourth quarter with a net portfolio increase of $98,323,753 from the prior quarter. The executive summary portion of the report outlines the major categories of cash flows affecting the changes in investments during this quarter. We thus ended the quarter with an investment portfolio of $1,302,959,350, excluding fiscal agent investments. During the fourth quarter of 2015, the authority earned $2,075,655 representing an annual rate of return of 65 basis points, which exceeded a comparable benchmark 3-month Treasury bill rate of 4 basis points, as well as a 12-month Treasury bill rate of return of 31 basis points. For the 12-month period, interest earned on investments totaled $7,845,369, representing an annualized rate of return of 60 basis points, which exceeded the comparable return on 3-month Treasury bill return of 2 basis points and exceeded a 12-month Treasury bill rate of return of 23 basis points. Any questions?
Mr. Gonzalez?
Just a statement. I just wanted to thank you for taking some time out to express and explain my concerns. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
The question that came up in the city council hearing about how much money we're supposed to have for operating over like 3 months. We're supposed to have a 3-month amount of money on hand. Are we near the 3 months? Are we short of the 3 month reserves?
Sure. So HUD recommends that we have 4 months
4 months
of
reserves.
operating cash on reserve. And we have about 2.6 months at the end of 2015. And that was up from 4 weeks from a year prior. And so, no, we are not there yet, but we are certainly increasing our cash reserves for operating.
Okay, so the investments that we're making and the interest that we're earning is moving toward closing that gap is?
Yes, so a couple things. We have $1.3 billion in our investment portfolio. A large part of our investment portfolio are reserves that back our insurance. So we have general liability. We're self-insured for that. We're self-insured for workers' comp. Since that's the bulk of our portfolio, a lot of the interest goes into increasing our reserves for those insurance liabilities.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome. I'm also presenting item number 2, which is the request to increase the not to exceed amount in order to fund the first year of the 2-year renewal option of the Greystone contract to administer the parking permit program. In 2013, NYCHA outsourced the parking administration functions, which were performed by NYCHA staff, to Greystone through a request for proposal or RFP. Also, NYCHA introduced through this contract the enforcement of parking regulations in order to curb the parking violators and reduce fraud. The authority is electing to exercise the agreement renewal option by extending the agreement for 1 year. The funds requested for this 1 year are as follows: parking and administration and enforcement fee, $797,410, and a total estimate for per permit fee of $55,500 for a total of $852,910. This extension will allow the authority to issue the new parking permits to residents for the new parking cycle, which starts in May 2016 through April of 2017. And also for the renewal of the employees' permits, which are expiring in December 2016. This extension will also provide for continuing the enforcement efforts through the towing of illegally parked vehicles and the issuance of notices. Are there any questions?
I have a question. Sure. Could there be locks put on the parking lot areas so that people who don't have permits cannot just drive up and just take a parking space, opposed to people who have the permits and when they get there, they don't have a parking space?
We can talk, I have to say, we can talk about that with the vendor to see, if that's feasible. It may not be the same throughout all of we have 19,000 parking spots that we offer residents. And so it might not be feasible at all places, but I'm happy to look into that and discuss it.
Yeah, because back, they used to put locks on the parking spaces. Yeah. So therefore the people who actually had keys were the only ones that could open those locks and go into the parking lot.
Okay.
So I really don't think, if they could do that, it would kind of eliminate the problems that we're having in a lot of the developments now with the parking. Because if they had these gates on there, that would eliminate the problem of people just rolling in and parking.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Is there a number where any of the applicants, residents or non-residents, can call to get an explanation or clarity on what the rules are for either getting a parking spot or the existing one? Why were they not called again to re-up or renew the parking spot? Because they tend to get a number and it's just an answering
Right.
machine.
So we can be sure that the correct number is on our website, number one. And the other thing I guess I would point out sort of as a sub issue for the parking is that Greystone is changing their subcontractor. I think it was SP Plus Parking. They're switching their subcontractor to LAZ Parking. And the reason for that is they want to have a website with increased functionality for renewals. That's one. There's going to be improved license plate recognition so that as people's information changes, that's pulled into their database. And then the last thing is to increase the customer service resources. And so with that, hopefully some of these things will be addressed, but we'll make sure that the correct number is on that website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Caldwell.
Good morning, Chair and Board members.
Good morning.
My name is Kelly McNeil. I am First Deputy General Counsel, and I will be presenting item number 3 this morning. Authorization is requested to amend Board Resolution 13-2/13-3, which authorized the award of 17 retainer agreements to 17 firms to provide the authority with legal defense of all tort claims and resulting lawsuits by increasing the not to exceed amount in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 3-year term, which commenced on April 1st, 2013, and is continuing through March 31st, 2016, and for the first 1-year renewal option commencing on April 1st, 2016, and continuing through March 31st, 2017. The United States Department of Housing and Urban Development requires the authority to hire outside counsel to handle tort claims and suits in order to maintain and continue the authority's self-insurance liability program. Are there any questions?
There was one law firm that was dropped.
Yes, because of performance issues, yes. So
Okay.
16 firms will be the agreements will be renewed.
Do we need to add this extra one back or not?
No,
No.
no.
Okay. And the other thing is, I noticed that they were not minority firms, maybe one Hispanic firm and the others were not. Going forward, can we look to do business more with minority law firms? Is that possible?
Yes, we will undertake that outreach.
Thank you, Ms. McNeil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Bob Morano, NYCHA's Chief Information Officer. This board item is requesting funding to amend an agreement with Universal Technologies, LLC. Universal Technologies supplies NYCHA with our storage area network, or SAN. The storage area network provides a shared pool of storage for all of our business needs, including business applications like Oracle Financials and Kronos, as well as storage for our SharePoint sites and on our network drives. The original contract had 1-year maintenance support included for free inside the contract. This amendment will provide maintenance support for the remainder of the contract through September 2019.
The only question I had, you say storage area network. Where is this storage area?
90 Church Street. It's all the storage, all the things where we save files to, and all the records that we keep on the tenant data systems, Kronos, Oracle Financials, our entire storage network.
Thank you, Mr. Morano.
Thank you.
Good morning.
I'm Carrie Jew, Chief Administrative Officer, and I'm here to present calendar item number 5. Calendar item number 5 seeks authorization for the authority to amend the agreement with Language Line Services Incorporated to provide over-the-phone foreign language interpretation services for NYCHA's Customer Contact Center, and to increase the not-to-exceed amount in order to fund the first year of the renewal option for the continued provision of services for the term July 24, 2016 through July 23, 2017. The original agreement was authorized by Board Resolution 13-7/31-27 for initial 3-year term with 2 one-year renewal options. The proposed not-to-exceed amount associated with the requested extension is $1,080,000. As with the original agreement, this extension will be administered by the Customer Contact Center. Language Line Services will provide over-the-phone foreign language interpretation services from a caller's source language to the target language to allow a caller to conduct business through the NYCHA Customer Contact Center. Services will be performed by professional and experienced interpreters that possess demonstrated proficiency levels. Services will be available on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis. This agreement is required because the authority is mandated to provide this service by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development and by the City of New York in order to provide limited English proficient individuals from accessing essential or emergency services provided by the authority. The estimated cost per minute for this amended agreement continues to be 72 cents per minute. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Jew.
Morning. My name is Louis Ponce, Senior Vice President of Operations for Support Services. I'll be presenting items 6 through 12. Item number 6, authorization is requested to enter into a materials requirement contract with the New York State Industry for the Disabled Incorporated for microbial wash cleaner. This is a backdrop agreement pursuant to a DCAS contract that provides this material. Microbial wash is an all-purpose cleaner used on a variety of surfaces within the authority. The cleaner will be delivered to the Supply Management Long Island City Warehouse for distribution to our various developments throughout the 5 boroughs. The contract term will be 3 years and not to exceed an amount of $1,485,990.09. The New York State Industry for the Disabled Incorporated has satisfactorily completed approximately $6.4 million worth of products and services to the authority in the past 5 years. We recommend award.
I just make a question and a comment. I mean, I think it's great that it's a state-approved company. I want to make sure that the things that we're using in cleaning our buildings are low VOC, really trying to make sure that we're sort of breathing sustainable throughout all of our operations. So I would hope that this wash is consistent with that.
Now, part of the Janitorial Grounds Committee was to identify green products.
Yes.
I do believe that this is one of them, but I will verify it.
Okay.
Pretty sure, because we had used a different product in the past.
Yes.
We changed this one a few years ago.
Right.
Item number 7, authorization is requested to enter into materials requirement contract with APR Industries Incorporated for mortise door lock cylinders. APR is the sole responsive and responsible bidder for this contract. These cylinders are used for various apartment and building entrances throughout the 5 boroughs. The contract term will be for 3 years with a 1-year renewal option and not to exceed amount of $721,626.15. APR has satisfactorily completed approximately $4.7 million worth of work for the authority in the past 5 years. Also recommend it. Item number 8, authorization is requested to enter into a materials requirement contract with Home Depot USA Incorporated for various residential carbon monoxide detectors. Home Depot was the second lowest bidder for this contract. The first lowest bidder was deemed non-responsive because the product offered did not conform to the bid specifications. These carbon monoxide detectors will be used in our apartments throughout the 5 boroughs. The term of this contract will be 3 years with a 1-year renewal option and not to exceed amount of $1,662,280.09. This is the first contract the Home Depot is entering in with the authority. We recommend award of this contract.
Are these carbon monoxide alarms different? You know, the ones you put the batteries in there. Do you have to put the batteries in these?
So these are sealed units. They have lithium atoms for a 10-year life, which is really the life of the radioactive material that detects the smoke. Or these are not smoke; these are for the carbon dioxide, monoxide. So once they're done, they're disposed.
So
Once you get an alarm at the end of the life, and then at that time we'll replace them. We're also going to keep a track of when we replace them in our Maximal system, so we can proactively know when we have to go in, when they're reaching the end of their useful life, and we can proactively replace them.
They're going to be replaced as needed in the apartments?
Absolutely, yes. The residents
One goes
request
out,
it.
They go in, the workers go in, and it's not working. They'll put the new one.
Absolutely. So it'll be done during, if the resident requests it, during apartment inspection. The advantage to this is that you cannot remove the battery, which is an issue that happened before. So the battery it's a sealed unit. The battery, it cannot be removed.
I have a question. Is there a number of units attached to the contract?
There is. I don't have it, and there's 2 units. There's a one that is hardwired, and some of our developments are hardwired and some are battery, and they have a different price. And I can get back to you with the number of.
And that's based on predicted
usage, past usage.
Yeah.
Items number 9, 10, 11, and 12 are very similar. I'll be presenting them simultaneously. Authorization is requested to increase and not to exceed amounts for 4 existing labor and material requirement contracts with American Security Systems Incorporated for survey, inspection, testing, repair, and alteration to fire alarm systems. This is a 50% increase, and it is in the term of the existing contracts. During the term of these contracts, several fire alarm systems, unfortunately, were unable to be repaired and needed to be replaced. We needed to do this quickly, so we utilized these contracts to do those replacements. These unforeseen expenses depleted our contract capacity, and the capacity needs to be increased in order for us to continue our required monthly and semi-annual inspections and emergency response. Emergency Security Systems has satisfactorily completed $15.6 million worth of work for the authority over the last 5 years. There are replacement contracts that have already been bid for these contracts. They're in the process of being evaluated and will eventually be awarded. The 50% increase amounts are as follows. So item number 9, which covers Manhattan North, is $326,976.92. Item number 10 is Brooklyn South and Staten Island, is $300,040.36. Item number 11 covers Brooklyn East and West, $396,212.25. And item number 12 is Bronx North for $291,303.85. And we request authorization. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conceal.
Good morning. I'm Michael Rosen, Acting Executive Vice President for Capital Projects and Vice President for Disaster Recovery. I'll be presenting items 13 through 23. Before I begin with our items, I just want to address an issue that Ms. McKay from Patterson Houses brought up this morning regarding ramps. I'm pleased to say that ramps are in design as we speak. Construction will begin in 2016 and continue on through 2017. There are 15 buildings at Patterson Houses with 25 entrances that vary in elevation from 2 to 8 feet. So it presents a lot of engineering work to make that happen in the confined spaces that surround the entrances to Patterson Houses. But we believe that we've come up with an engineering solution. We believe we've come up with a value engineering solution that will allow us to use the funds we have to do all of the ramps needed. And we are going to be prioritizing those based on a couple of things, based on the number of elderly and mobility impaired residents in those buildings, along with the elevations that create the most difficult egress. So we'll approach it in a smart way, and we will make sure that we communicate with Ms. McKay and the residents of Patterson Houses to let them know that this is coming and keep them informed as the progress goes on.
Thank you.
Beginning with items number 13 through 17, which I will present together. They request authorization for 5 job order contracts, also known as JOC contracts, for various developments citywide. Capital Projects competitively bid numerous job order contracts with more to follow to address the ongoing development's construction needs. These sites are not predetermined, and the construction work will be performed on an as-needed basis. The job order contracts were designed by trade based on geographic region. The scope of work includes, but is not limited to, hazardous material removal and disposal, roofing removal and replacement in kind, painting and plastering, general construction, plumbing, and electrical work. The ability of the authority to have multiple contractors available to perform this work is essential to the efficient and safe operation of the authority's departments and to meet the milestones for completing work. However, as outlined in the notice to bidders, a contractor may bid on more than one job order contract in this series. As a result, a bidder may be awarded more than one contract if the authority, based on bid results and the capacity of the bidder, determines that it is in the best interest of the authority to do so. Item number 13, request award to Mount Olympus Restoration in the amount of $6 million. Mount Olympus was the second lowest bidder. The lowest bidder, Bloom Construction Incorporated, failed to submit bid bonds and was deemed non-responsive. Item number 14, also request to award to Mount Olympus in the amount of $6 million. Same situation, Bloom Construction was the low bidder. They failed to submit their bonds and were deemed non-responsive. Item number 15, requests authorization to award a $6 million contract to Aldel Faya Contracting Corp. Item number 16, requests authorization to award a $15 million contract to AAA Windows and Door Corporation. Item number 17, requests authorization to award a $10 million contract to New York Environmental Systems. All 4 of these contractors had their references varied. The contractors were found to be verified. The contractors were found to be responsible and possess the necessary experience to successfully perform the work required. The VNC for all 4 contractors was requested and is pending. None of these contracts will be awarded until the VNC is clear. Any questions on 13 through 17? Item number 18, requests authorization to enter into a requirements contract for grounds improvement at various developments in Brooklyn and Queens to Champion Electric Mechanical Builder Corp. in the amount of $2 million. Capital Projects is issuing several requirements contracts as part of a comprehensive plan to address grounds improvements at various developments citywide. These contracts are funded by city capital grants. As such, they are each designated with a predefined budget of $2 million. The scope of work includes, but is not limited to, removal and replacement of pavement curbs, installation of new play equipment, safety surfacing, steel bar fencing, site furnishings, lighting, spray showers, and renovations to basketball courts. Champion has been in business since 2011. This is Champion's first prime contract with NYCHA, but they have been awarded 4 projects as subcontractor valued at $3.1 million. Their performance evaluation is satisfactory. The VNC dated 11/18/15 was vetted by procurement, which found no issues to preclude award. The OIG extended approval period of the VNC through March 30th for this calendar.
It says lighting. Now, if the development is under the MAP program, they're getting lighting under the MAP program, so they would not then get lighting.
Correct.
With
We
this
would use this contract for developments that are not covered under any other. Item number 19, request authorization to award a contract for exterior restoration for a site-specific development and emergency conditions citywide to Vikrant Contracting and Builders Incorporated in the amount of $18,493,001.68. This is a requirement contract for the exterior restoration of 16 buildings at Linden houses, which were identified through the New York City Department of Buildings Local Law 11, Cycle 7 and 8 facade inspections as being in need of repairs to the exterior facade. In addition, this requirements contract is designed to address emergency conditions and provide public protection citywide should the need arise. The scope of work includes, but is not limited to, exterior restoration of facade, minor roof repairs, sidewalk sheds, asbestos abatement, and emergency repairs. Micron has been in business since 2004. It's their second prime contract with NYCHA. The first was awarded in February of 2016, valued at $14.4 million. They have performed 17 projects with NYCHA as subcontractor, valued at $7.6 million. VNC dated 7/16 was vetted by procurement and no issues were found.
How are we going to verify that they actually hire the Section 3 hires?
So as the work is assigned to them, they submit a Section 3 plan along with it, and we enforce that. They've agreed in advance to the methodology and have put forth a plan for as jobs are awarded to them. And then the Section 3 plan is given to us. The specific Section 3 plan is given to us prior to the beginning of work.
Do they have to give you a list of the people that hired?
Yes. Item number 20, requests authorization for the exterior restoration and emergency sidewalk sheds at various developments citywide to Roma Scaffolding Incorporated in the amount of $19,596,721.50. This contract was designed in two parts. Part A is for the exterior restoration of the development citywide, which were identified through Local Law 11, Cycle 7 and 8 inspections. And Part B is a requirement contract for the installation of up to 10,750 linear feet of sidewalk sheds designed to address emergency conditions and provide public protection should the need arise. Part A scope includes exterior restoration, minor roof repairs, sidewalk sheds, and asbestos abatement, and the term of that is 480 days. Part B includes and is not limited to the installation of sidewalk sheds, maintenance, and repairs. The term of that is 730 days. The contractor's history: Roma has been in business since 2001. They've performed two projects as prime contractor for NYCHA, valued at over $103 million. The VNC dated 3/21 was vetted by procurement and no issues were found. Item number 21, request authorization to award a contract at Coney Island 1, sites 4 and 5 for restoration associated with the Sandy Recovery Program to Technical Construction Services Incorporated in the amount of $52,971,000. The scope of work includes restoration for the building and its community center, including but not limited to new boiler room, exterior electrical annexes to house the equipment above flood levels, installation of standby backup generators, dry flood protection, other flood mitigation, additional flood mitigation measures, electrical feeder replacement, CCTV, layered access, site lighting, full roof replacement, and other site restoration. The term of this contract is 912 days. Technico has been in operation since 1997. They have performed 5 projects as prime contractor, valued at over $93 million, and 2 projects as subcontractor, valued at over $22 million. Preliminary VNC dated 3/8/16 was vetted by procurement. No issues have been found to preclude award. Items number 22 and 23, request authorization to award a contract for exterior restoration for site-specific developments citywide to Zoria Housing LLC. The scope, these unit price requirement contracts are for the exterior restoration of several buildings at various developments citywide, which were identified through the Department of Buildings, Local Law 11, Cycle 7 and 8 facade inspections. These requirement contracts are designed to address emergency conditions, are also designed to address emergency conditions should the need arise. The scope includes, but is not limited to, exterior restoration of facades, minor roof repairs, sidewalk sheds, asbestos abatement, emergency repairs, each with a contract term of 480 days. The contractor, Zoria, is a minority-owned business. They've performed 18 contracts with NYCHA as prime contractor, valued at over $149 million, and 19 projects as subcontractor, valued at over $78 million. The award of these two contracts is subject to the terms of a settlement and monitoring agreement entered into by the authority and Zoria dated 3/7/16. Item number 23.
Mike, sorry, Mr. Rosen, just before you go on. So just one question on this one. So I noticed that Gowanus is one of the developments, but that's also a Sandy development, correct?
Correct.
So how are we doing that? I know, because this is city funded, correct? This is the mayor's money.
Right.
And Gowanus also has FEMA dollars. So I just want to make sure we're.
Yeah, so the FEMA dollars do not cover the facades
They
at
don't
all,
cover
so there's no
facades.
conflict there. We will be coordinating as far as timing of the work to make sure that we coordinate that and do it in the right order, because but there's no conflict with the
Okay.
funding.
Fine. Thanks.
So the two items specifically, item 23, request award for $16,484,000, $141.26. This covers 25 buildings at 10 developments. Item number 24 is in the amount of $14,953,712.18. This also covers 25 buildings at 6 developments.
When they use subcontractors, they're giving a lesser firm part of the work. Is Zoria gonna be held accountable for the
Yes.
subcontractor?
Absolutely. Prime contractor is always accountable for their subcontractors.
Okay.
I have a question, going back to section 3 hires. Because the chair indicated earlier that sometimes you may not be able, the contractor may not be able to hire section 3 from the developments. And you said that they send you the name. So my question is, how is it that you're gonna do it from some developments that people who need jobs everywhere, and then some that you can't enforce it?
So we work with our REIS department to make sure that the requirements are enforced. Typically, the first expectation is that residents from the development where the work is taking place will be hired. In the event that they are not qualified residents at that specific development for the work that is needed, they branch out first to the area and then NYCHA wide. The intent is always first to try to bring residents that are working that live at that development where the work is being done.
But if they have OSHA, then they would be considered, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, 23 items were presented for board approval. Do I have a motion to approve all items?
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.